Wednesday, August 20th, 2025 at 7 p.m. First thing we do is call to order and a roll call. So Colleen, please call the roll.
Commissioners Castillo and Giannini are absent and excused. Commissioner Gloaz,
Present.
Commissioner Kovacevic,
Present.
Commissioner Morrison,
Present.
Commissioner Muir,
Here.
Commissioner Schultz,
Present.
Chairman Stratman.
Also here. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum for this evening's business before us. So the next item on the agenda will be the approval of minutes from the PCC meeting of July 16th. Everyone have a chance to have reviewed them in the packet? Are there any changes? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to approve the July 16th, 2025 PCC minutes as presented.
So moved.
Thanks, Hildy.
Second.
Thanks, Sean. Call the roll, please. Colleen?
Commissioner Gloaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Kovacevic,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Abstain.
Commissioner Muir,
Abstain.
Commissioner Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. Minutes are approved as submitted. Thank you, Colleen. So the next time we'll do is we go to our public meeting this evening, but before we do that, we're going to make an agenda change during the public hearing. So,
Yes.
Sarosh?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. This evening, we have two items to be considered at a public meeting and three items to be considered at public hearings. In the interest of efficiencies and to give the applications on the public hearing the best possible time and opportunity for comment and presentation, we are suggesting that the public hearing portions be revised a little, with having item 4C be the first public hearing be held, which is the miscellaneous text amendments. 4B go second, and 4A go third, in that order. But prior to that, I would recommend sticking with the agenda for the public meeting portion of the
All right.
agenda.
Thank you, Sarosh. So then on our public meeting portion, the first item we have on the agenda is application 2025-14 for plot of consolidation of 85 South Old Rand and 100 Park Avenue. We don't need to do a roll call on that because it's public meeting, correct?
Correct. You don't have to open a public hearing or anything, and we can just go right into it if you'd like.
Sarosh, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to update everyone, proper notice was provided. Even though it's a public meeting, we are required to publish notice of the meeting in the paper, which we did. This item for 3A is for a plat of consolidation for 85 South Old Rand Road and 100 Park Avenue. The property at 85 South Old Rand Road is currently owned by the village. 100 Park Avenue is owned by a private property. Earlier this year, the village consented to conveying title of 85 South Old Rand to the adjacent property owner, Jumpco Properties. As part of that, one of the conditions for conveyance of title was that a plat of consolidation be prepared, providing the village with a public utility and access easement. So we are just going through the motions right now of getting approval, consideration and approval of that plat of consolidation and the accompanying easement. That is all I have.
All right, thank you. So, commissioners, discussion on the public meeting item? No, pretty straightforward, thank you. So I would entertain a motion. Oh, do we need public comment on the public?
No public comment. This is just a meeting. Thank
So I'd
you.
entertain a motion to, we don't even consider it, do we? Do we need a motion to?
Yes, you do need a motion to make a recommendation on the plat of consolidation and the accompanying easement.
All right, then I'd entertain a motion to the consideration of application PZC 2025-14 for the plat of consolidation of 85 South Old Rand Road and 100 Park Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Gloaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Kovacevic,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Muir,
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. So this application will be presented to the village board at an upcoming meeting?
Yes, in September, we're looking at putting it on the
September.
September 2nd
Thank you.
meeting.
The next item would be application 2025-09 for the final plan for Meadowwood East. This is an application for final plan approval of the residential subdivision consisting of 15 single-family homes on approximately 8 acres. The development concept plan was received approval by the village board on January 6th through ordinance number 2025-01-600.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this was a condition of the zoning approval granted to the developers of Meadowwood East, that they come back through the process of obtaining a final plan approval. The test here for staff and the Plan and Zoning Commission is to ensure that the final plan layout, architecture, landscaping, et cetera, continues to be in conformance with what was approved in the zoning entitlement ordinance. We find that it is, and therefore we are making a recommendation for approval of the final plan. We do have Mr. Kirk Russman, the developer's representative, here to answer any questions, make a brief statement if he wants to.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening.
We listened to all the comments, have incorporated them into the final plan, and everything worked out well. So I look forward to getting the project started soon.
Commissioner's question of the petitioner? No? Okay, thank you.
Okay,
The packet was very complete,
all right, thank you.
everything together.
And just as a comment, before this is transmitted to the village board or presented to the village board for final plan approval, the development agreement will be finalized, and all of the final engineering will have to be signed off on. So
Okay.
we are
Excellent.
almost there, and
Good.
once that happens, we will transmit it to the village board.
Okay, very good,
Go
thank you,
ahead.
Saurabh. Okay, any further conversation, discussion, deliberation? None? Okay. I would entertain a motion to receive into the public record the staff review of compliance of this application for final plan with the zoning standards as presented by staff this evening, and to make these standards a part of the official record for the application, and recommend approval of the final plan for the Meadowwood East subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Glowacz,
Aye.
Commissioner Kovacevic,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Muir,
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. Thank you. So this application will be presented to the village board once the final plan, final plat, and the development agreement documents are completed and all comments addressed. The date will then be determined by the staff. So,
That's great.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion to open the public hearings for the following applications, and the order is changed at the opening of our meeting, but I'll read them here. It's application PZC 2025-1 for a planned unit development, PUD, for a mixed-use development at 173 West Main Street, also known as Block A. Application PZC 2025-13 for annexation, zoning, subdivision, and planned unit development, PUD, for an automobile condominium development at 2500 North Rand Road. And the application PZC 2025-16 for miscellaneous text amendments to the zoning and land development codes.
So moved.
Thanks, Hildy.
Second.
Thanks, Sean. Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Glowacz,
Aye.
Commissioner Kovacevic,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Muir,
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. So those wishing to speak or comment at these public hearings this evening will now be sworn in. So please raise your right hand while I read a statement to swear you in. Okay, thank you. Do you swear testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you. When you come up to the podium, please sign in on the sheet at the podium, and at the beginning of your statement, please state your name, spelling it out if necessary, and state your address for the record. All comments will be addressed to the PCC chair. Any members of the public wishing to comment will be invited one by one to the podium to provide their comment. The chairperson may limit repetitious or inappropriate comments and impose reasonable time limits in accordance with the rules of the PCC. If number of persons wishing to testify with the same comment, it's recommended that they appoint a spokesperson to present those comments once to the PCC. Member of the audience shall not be disruptive, use profanity, or display any signage. The applicant will first be given the opportunity to present their application. After the applicant's presentation, the PCC members will be able to ask questions one by one of the applicants, and discussion can occur. After the PCC questions have been addressed, public testimony will be received, and PCC commissioner comments or additional questions can ensue. Public testimony will be accepted in person or in writing, handed to the chair of the PCC. After all persons are given the opportunity to speak or submit their testimony, the hearing will be continued or closed, and the PCC will then move into deliberation. The applicant may be given the opportunity to respond to questions posed by either members of the PCC, the village staff during deliberation. However, no more formal testimony will be taken after the hearing is closed unless the chair decides otherwise. Once all deliberation has ended, the PCC will vote on a recommendation to the village board on the matters before us. So, in that we've changed the order up, the first item we're going to do is going to be the text amendment change, which is, moving to that page. Application PZC 2025-16 for miscellaneous text amendments. This is an application for miscellaneous amendments to the text of the municipal code, in particular to clarify the definitions pertaining to public and private streets. Staff, can you confirm that proper notice was provided for this item, Colleen?
Yes, the public notice was published.
Thank you. And can you present the item for us, please?
Sure, thank you. So the village is proposing text amendments to the Lake Zurich Code to provide additional clarification on regulations concerning private roadway connections from properties within the village to those located outside the municipal boundaries. And these are just to further clarify the definitions that the village board has previously adopted.
All right, thank you. So, commissioners, do we have questions on what was submitted to us in the packet? No questions?
Nope.
So we're gonna let Colleen off the hook. Okay. Then I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, if you
Yes.
want to open it up for public.
Are there any comments from the public on this item?
No.
No. Okay, no comment from the public, so deliberations? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing on application PCC 2025-16 and then move to deliberation.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Glowacz?
Aye.
Commissioner Kovacevic?
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Muir?
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz?
Aye.
Chairman Stratman?
Aye. Any comments?
No, pretty
Okay.
straightforward.
As you said, pretty straightforward.
Nice long word, though.
I would entertain a motion on application PZC 2025-16 to receive into the public record the staff review of compliance of this application with the zoning standards presented by staff, and to make these standards and testimony a part of the official record for the application and findings of the PZC, and to recommend that the village board approve the application for amendments to the text of the municipal code to clarify the definitions of public and private streets.
So moved.
Thanks, Ildy.
Second.
Thanks, Sean. Ildy? I'm Colleen. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Glowacz?
Aye.
Commissioner Kovacevic?
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Muir?
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz?
Aye.
Chairman Stratman?
Aye. So unanimous recommendation, so this will now go to the village board
In September.
in September. Thank you. Okay. Getting back to our agenda. Now we go to application PZC 2025-13 for 2500 North Rand Road. This is an application for annexation, zoning, and subdivision of the property through a planned unit development, PUD, for a development with automobile condominiums, a retail building, and clubhouse. Staff, can you confirm proper notice was provided for this item?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And can you introduce the applicant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This evening for this proposal to request annexation, zoning, and subdivision for the project here in question is Mr. Romeo Capudia of Lux Corsa Partners, here to introduce the project and to introduce his team. Go ahead.
Hi there, good evening. Thank you for taking time to review our proposed annexation of the property located at 24455 US Highway 12. The property is formerly known as the Calabrese property. It's approximately 20 acres of land, and we are proposing to develop a very unique high-end condo project, which would entail 121 units, a luxurious clubhouse, and a boutique car dealership on the front of the property, which would also incorporate a coffee house. We feel that this is a perfect fit for this property, and tonight I have my lead architect, Katie Lampert from OKW with us.
Actually, is it possible to get the
And-
presentation on?
Yes, the person in the back room, the operator in the back room will have that on. So there you go, it's on.
So a little bit about myself. I'm a former professional race car driver, raced cars professionally for about 14 years. I'm also a real estate developer. I developed the property commonly known as a Sanctuary right across the street from Lifetime Fitness on Rand Road. I'm combining my two passions, which is real estate development and automotive car enthusiasm and racing. This project would be, I think, a true asset to the community. It would increase values of properties in the area, and I also think it would be a great revenue source for the village. With the car dealership, we have talked to 5 different high-end hypercar and supercar dealerships that are located throughout the country, have expressed interest in leasing the property from us and selling high-end cars at that site. So it wouldn't be a high-end car dealership, it would be a low-end in terms of volume, but high-end cars where it would bring in a lot of revenue to the village. And it would complement our project as well. The clubhouse on the property would be for members only. It would be a very unique building where it would have all types of amenities for the members. One being that it would have an event space where owners can show off their cars. They can entertain their clients. Most of these individuals who own these high-end cars are high net worth individuals who either have high-end companies or big companies, and they can have corporate outings at this event space, or they can have a wedding for their daughter if they wanted to. On top of that, on the second floor, we would incorporate a racing simulator room where we would have 6 or 7 racing simulators, 4 golf simulators, a tranquility spa, along with a outdoor lounge on the rooftop, and the dealership building, which we could show you. You know how to use this? Because I don't. You want me to talk about the site a little bit?
Yeah, I think if you want to talk about the site, and then I can get into the plan layout.
Yeah, so the site entails 20 acres of land. It's L-shaped. It borders Lake Zurich to the south, Hawthorne Woods on the east, and the Mount St. Joseph property to the north. We think it's, like I said, it's a perfect fit for what we're developing. It sits next to the Textron building or the Easy Go golf cart building, and it would just complement the community. I think we have a lot of support from the community already. I've talked to a number of individuals, people who live in Windstone, people who live in the surrounding area, and everybody thought it was an exciting project. Some of the concerns that I read online were traffic, increasing traffic. We have a traffic study expert here who could identify that it won't create any additional traffic, very little, if you will. We just feel that the traffic would be a negligible number in terms of how many people would go in and out of this property. It's a members-only property. It's not open to the public. It's gated. So those are the highlights of the property. Those are the positives, that we wouldn't really generate additional traffic. And we think it would just be, like I said already, a great asset to the community.
Hi, everybody. As Romeo mentioned, I'm Katie Lambert, partner at OKW Architects. I'm really excited to be here tonight with Romeo to talk about this project. Real quickly, this is a page to really discuss zoning specifically, since this property is being annexed into Lake Zurich. We're proposing essentially a split underlying zoning where you would have B1 fronting Rand Road, and that would be where the car dealership would sit. And then the remainder of the site would be more of an industrial zoning, and that would be where the car condo units as well as the associated clubhouse would live. It's a really interesting site. I think, certainly challenging from a civil perspective. There's an existing wetlands component that you can see really hatched throughout this parcel. And so the somewhat interesting layout of the units was really based on trying to work with and respect the wetlands that were already there and on site. So just to kind of orient you, there's an existing curb cut off of Rand Road that we are planning to keep in its current location. We're proposing a new car dealership, which would be essentially the height of a 2-story building. It would have a full single floor and then a mezzanine above it. Some of the details are going to be further fleshed out on that building once we have a tenant that is committed. Then as you move into the site past that gated access, really the majority of the site is going to be occupied by these 121 auto suites that are organized in a series of buildings throughout the site. Some of them are single-loaded building, some of them are double-loaded, and so it creates a little bit of variety as you move through this space. The heart of the site in the center is that clubhouse that Romeo was speaking to. That's really going to be, potentially active use for the members and member guests. Have a little bit of a kind of like a hospitality component and really make this a special space. And so I think, our goal as we laid this out, we knew we did not want this to feel like a self-storage development. It really wants to feel like something that has a little bit more heart and soul. And I think that was very important to the entire team. In terms of kind of the look and feel, what you're actually going to see, again, that car dealership is really going to be the most visible front door to the development and something that everybody will see when they drive by on Rand Road. So we really want to make it beautiful and special. So that glassy corner that you can see would be looking into the showroom space. These are expected to be, again, exotic cars, and so I think there will be a lot of interest both from what's being displayed and the architecture that we create around that. Throughout the site, we really focused on kind of trying to create a sense of movement and motion in the architecture, things that were really related to this idea of like vehicles and racing and speed. And so you can see here we incorporated this idea of embedded linear lights in the architecture itself. The architecture of this building is proposed to be a high-density fiber cement. It's a product called Equitone that's on the board that we brought today.
It's over there in front.
Oh, perfect. And so it's really kind of a nice panel system, essentially, and then there would be some metal panel accents as well as the glass that we talked about. There's another view. Some elevations. And you can see really in this elevation on Rand Road, that coffee shop that Romeo mentioned, the Imperial Moto, that would be integrated into the architecture of the entire building. So this gate, which in this rendering is shown in the open position, is really kind of doing double duty. It provides obviously some security, but it's also the primary sign for the development. We're not proposing a separate freestanding sign for the car condos. This would be it. And so we want to make it, you know, architecturally interesting, as well as obviously secure.
Katie, speaking of signage, is there going to be a monument sign on Rand?
No,
I didn't
so
see it in the
essentially,
packet.
no, and we do, I'll kind of get into a little more detail at the end of this. We have a page that better spells it out. But essentially, we're assuming the car dealer is going to have building-mounted signs. And then that gate is essentially going to be the primary sign for the car condos.
All right, thank you.
Sure. This is a view that shows the clubhouse. So again, this idea of these racing stripes, I'm going to call it, is really prominent. We think that doing, you know, architectural gestures that relate to the idea of car racing and movement is exciting and appropriate also. So similarly, on this building, we are proposing, again, that high-density fiber cement. It's a high-quality material on this with smaller accents of metal. On the left, you can see that there would be essentially a roof deck over that single-story portion, with string lights, and it's really just meant to be an active and inviting space. And then here on the right, you can see this kind of clever idea that you would have the ability to potentially drive a car in for special events. If something's going to be showcased, displayed, there would be a garage door that would lift up and allow for that to happen. And this shows off that event space that would be, you know, able to be used by members as they choose. So these are really preliminary layouts of that building. It meant mostly to show you kind of what's possible. I think these are going to be refined as the interior of the building is further developed. And then moving through the car condo units themselves. You know, again, I think it was really important to the team that there be some design quality to these buildings. You know, there's a lot of them, and I think we wanted them to be also very thoughtful. So we're combining a handful of materials in these buildings. Hardy panel, which is a medium density fiber cement, is really the primary material that you see on these buildings. But there's also a little bit of accent metal panel and a little bit of accent wood look metal panel as well that would be really worked into the composition of each of the buildings. When you first drive in, this building to your left is meant to kind of offer you a little bit of wayfinding. We're showing this idea of a graphic map of the development on there, so it would help to orient guests and tell them kind of where to go. The other thing, though, that we're planning on is to incorporate that type of graphic wayfinding throughout. And so building numbers would be, you know, used as a graphic element, as would this idea of racetrack maps. They would be kind of almost like art, but again, really meant to tie into the overall theme. Those would be illuminated, and then you can also see the idea of potentially color changing lights on the building as well. So we've included elevations as part of the package, just to give you a sense, but I think the renderings hopefully tell quite a bit of the story in terms of how you would really experience this site. And then we've also included just some typical unit plans in case people are curious. These would be essentially built out by the owners themselves. The material board, again, I think the actual physical samples probably do a better job since already I can see color distortion on the screen. But, you know, we're really looking at a combination of kind of modern materials, but also the warmth of the wood, I think, really adds a lot to the composition. And then this is the signage diagram that I was talking about. So as we mentioned, you know, at the front of the site, the only things you would really see from Rand Road are the building mounted sign for the car dealers, and then potentially that security gate for the Lux Corsa development. Everything else would be internal to the site and pretty I think subtle or artful, I guess I would call it. We're really trying to integrate the signage into the design itself. We included a few slides about landscape design, just because we've, as you might imagine, taken it pretty seriously. There's a lot of site here, and we want to be very sensitive. The new landscaping that we've chosen would really work well with the aesthetics of the wetlands and the modern aesthetics of the building. Lots of native vegetation, things like that. And then obviously we're proposing significant tree coverage that would offer just kind of this nice canopy as you're moving through the site. The other thing that we looked at was incorporating a handful of evergreens around the perimeter of the site at very strategic locations, so that if there are headlights in certain areas that would be visible to neighboring sites, that those are masked by the evergreens. So these are just enlarged landscape plans. And then this is really just a snapshot of some of the selected plants. I decided not to include all, 50 species, but I think this gives you a sense that there would be a nice variety, and I think a lot of seasonal interest throughout the year. And that's, I think, what we've got.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Commissioners, questions of Katie and/or Romeo? Loud, start with you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Just one question. Is the membership only for people who have cars in there? So it's not like a public membership where anybody can become a member, or they have to have a car in there?
That's correct. They have to be an owner of a unit in order to be a member.
So that's limited.
Mhm.
That's it.
So in terms of your comment about the traffic, I think with the number of units, that really dictates the amount of traffic that's going to be, right?
That's correct.
Okay. You have to have a unit to come in.
Yes.
Or go to the dealership. Right, or go to the dealership, but that's on the front end. Right. Okay. So
Right, and the dealership's separate, so the car suites themselves are gonna be separated by a gate, as I mentioned earlier, and the dealership is in the front, and it's primarily a lower volume dealership in terms of flow. It's not like, a Honda dealership, for example, which is high volume. This is low volume and very expensive cars. Most of these buyers are international, so they're buying cars from overseas. Typically the inventory is virtual, so it won't be stored on site. There won't be any auto repairs done on site either, so it's for sales only.
Right, thanks, Romeo.
You're welcome.
Now, I know in the Kurtz review, it was mentioned that they would be online sales. I mean, no online sales, they'll be on-site sales.
Correct.
Right. Okay, so even though that's not in the packet submitted to us, if we make that a condition on the recommendation, you're okay with that, because that's what was agreed to?
I'm sorry, can you ask the question again, please?
That if we make it a condition of our recommendation, that it stipulates that it will be on-site sales only, that you would be okay with that going forward?
Well, the problem with that is that it won't generate enough volume, or in terms of sales dollar or tax dollars, the volume would be much lower because we can't store hundreds of cars on this site. So they're gonna be stored off-site and sold virtually,
Understand.
but if
But
it's an Illinois buyer, they will buy the car here in Illinois,
But the
yes.
sales will be concluded at the site.
Correct. And now, some of these dealerships that we're talking to, they have multiple dealerships throughout the country, but the sales that are generated through the Illinois site, if you will, and the proposed site, those sales will be conducted here.
Okay. That's what we need. Thank you.
And just for, discussion purposes, I've asked this question of all the different dealerships that we've interviewed and that are interested in this site. They're typically saying that they could see easily $100 million worth of sales going through this dealership,
Okay, good.
if that helps.
That helps. Thank you. Scott, more questions?
Not right now.
All right. Mike? Hildy?
Well, I guess I didn't see this mentioned, or I missed it in all the documentation, but in terms of Rand Road, what's the entrance and exit out of the area looking like? Is there gonna be,
They'll put it back on the screen from behind, yes. There you go.
I very
So,
easily could have missed it.
so there's
but-
already a left turn lane going into the site, which has been there for, I don't know how many years. But we,
Left turn coming from north,
from the north,
okay,
coming down, turning east into the property, and there's already a curb cut. So there's a left turn lane there, and we're keeping the existing curb cut, or the proximity of the curb cut is
what
gonna
about
remain.
entrance from the south going north, on the side of the street?
So I'd like to turn this over to our expert here from KLOA. You could identify.
I'm assuming you just
Discussions
turn
with
in
IDOT.
and go, but okay.
Yeah, hello. Andrew Bowen with KLOA. Yeah, so Rand Road is an IDOT road, and IDOT provides pretty strict criteria on where they put turn lanes in, and they give volume-based warrants. When we did our traffic study, we looked at the volumes that the site will generate, compared those to the warrants, and found that there won't be enough traffic to warrant having a right turn lane there. So it's not necessary based on our analysis.
Okay, what does that mean? So
So
that
it'll-
people that need to turn in, right,
Will
will just slow down on Rand Road, and even though it's going 55 and 60 miles an hour?
Yes, so there's multiple lanes on Rand Road through that section, and it'll be a fairly low volume of traffic turning there, especially during the peak periods when Rand is its busiest. So, we looked at those volumes, and IDOT has a minimum number of cars that you need to have before they really consider that, or before you should have to consider that, and this development just doesn't meet those numbers.
All these expensive cars turning in, and you're not worried about them getting into accidents or things? I find that just a little interesting.
No, I don't believe so. Historically, this property has not had a turn lane. There's a construction company that operates out of there now. They turn semi-trucks in there all day long. They use the shoulder to turn in. I don't think we have that concern because the volume is so low, and the road is pretty wide there, especially the shoulder.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
John?
Yeah, just a couple. So the car condo owners, would they have 24/7 access to the site? I would imagine they would.
They would, yes.
Is there any restriction in hours in regards to guests or,
There's no restrictions in terms of times when they're allowed to go in and out of their property. It's obviously 24 hours a day. However, there will be a restriction that nobody can sleep on site. That's going to be part of our decks and bylaws, where no overnight stays are allowed on the site.
then I guess, forgive my ignorance, but this is a newer concept to me. So I know you hit on it a little bit. Can you just talk through, like, typically what these owners use the property for? Are they using it solely for storage? Or are they using it for entertaining? It sounds like a mixture of both.
Yeah, great question. So this is a fairly new concept in the United States. Car storage, condo suites, if you will, throughout the country are fairly new, but they're starting to become more and more popular. So typically a car collector who has 5 or 6 cars would store his car on site. The idea is to have a country club type of feel where you can communicate and show off your car with other car owners. So the cars are stored there. They're not typically driven. A lot of these cars are simply stored for the most part, and they're part of collections. And so it's become such a popular business model for developers in, for example, like Miami or Arizona, and we think that there's definitely a need for it here. In fact, since this has been discussed openly previously, we were inundated with calls and we were not ready for it. So there is a lot of demand for this type of property.
Appreciate the info.
You're welcome.
Katie, I have a question for you. You mentioned the vegetation will provide screenage from the headlights. What about photometric? I didn't see one. I saw the lighting, but I didn't see a photometric.
I believe our plan is still in progress, right? I think we were planning to submit it as part of our next round of documents.
Oh, okay.
So, But yes, we will have that, and I know that one of the things that we're taking very seriously is the cutoff at the property line to make sure that there's not any light trespass on neighboring properties.
And that's what I was wondering, because I saw the lighting that you put on that in terms of the building, it's going to be the,
Very
different.
subtle.
Okay.
You know, I think that especially like all the indirect lights of the graphic is gonna be a really soft glow, and certainly I think anything color changing, it's going to be very subtle. So this whole thing is not gonna be like, you know, neon kind of glowing from a distance.
and you got to get past those guys.
Yep,
Yeah,
fair enough.
all right, Katie, thank you. Any more questions? Any questions from the people in the audience on this item? I see a couple questions.
You can make comments. This is,
Both?
are you opening it up to comments,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman? Yes.
Certainly. Please come forward. Did you sign the sheet, sir? I have not. Okay, would you put your name on the sheet when you come up, please?
My name is James O'Neill. I'm the owner of the property directly behind, on the other side of the marsh, so it would probably be within 100. I actually think that part of my property is one of the points of contact with the property.
Okay.
So I have a number of concerns. Oh, sorry, thank you. A number of concerns about it. I'm also the owner of a high-end car detailing shop in Grays Lake, so I'm pretty familiar with the customers that he is going to be having on the site. And my main concern is that, you know, people that buy $300,000 supercars like to sit around with their friends and rev the engines and make lots of noise and show them exactly how cool their car is. 24/7 access means that these people with their clubhouse are going to be driving their cars up to the clubhouse to show everybody how loud and fantastic their supercar is, which is about 100 feet away from my screened-in porch and deck. I'm also concerned about the lighting in the area. There's virtually no way that you're going to park a $300,000 car in a roll-up garage when it's not lit. It's not going to be subtle lighting by any means. It's going to be security lighting, and it's going to be necessary because of the insurance. So it's going to be well lit, it's going to be very loud with 24/7 access to 120 people that are revving loud supercars. Now, I live in Hawthorne Woods, I don't live in Lake Zurich. The other thing that bothers me about it is that the buildings that come directly up to the marsh are basically garage doors, which again is going to have security lighting, so you're going to be right on top of the marsh. That area back there, there's probably 6 houses in Hawthorne Woods that look out on that marsh. Basically bought my house because of the marsh so that I could sit out and look out on it. It's very dark, tons of wildlife in the yard all day long. I just think that what they do on Rand Road, I bought the house 35 years ago. I knew they were going to develop Rand Road. That's fine. I don't have any problem with it. But coming all the way back, 20 acres back towards the edge of the marsh and building industrial things doesn't seem like at all what the area is. But not to mention that there's a home for, handicapped people right next door. I guarantee you, if you give people 24/7 access to this, they are going to be revving their car engines at the clubhouse. And, I just don't think that's appropriate for this spot. I'm perfectly fine with the commercial development on Rand Road, just not the 20 acres into abutting up to Hawthorne Woods. So, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Mr. O'Neill. Ms. Roche, we did mention the photometrics, and that will comment later. But for Mr. O'Neill's comment about, he's worried about the lighting impact is going to be with security lighting. That lighting still has to be rated to the property line.
Yes, so
Correct.
at the property line, there shall be no more than half a foot candle of light to prevent trespass onto adjacent properties. And then anywhere on the site, no more than 10-foot candles. And that is typical of what we see in our industrial parks today, when you have security lighting above a side door or a front door. In that smallest area is where they get closest to approximately 10-foot candles. So to get an idea as to what the lighting would be, I would say drive around the industrial park. That is typically what we have. A lot of the industrial buildings are much lower than 10-foot candles as well, but that is something that we would hold the applicants to meet. Inside the buildings, obviously, there is no requirement. They could light up their interiors just so long as if there are garage doors with windows and glass panels, that the light from the interior doesn't exceed 10-foot candles once it hits the exterior surfaces.
And the other comment I heard was about the sound, and we have sound ordinance requirements as well.
Yes, but the sound ordinance requirements are more for music and sound amplification at this time. However, I was just looking at the map to see what proximity the various properties in Hawthorne Woods have from the nearest buildings of this particular development. And the property to the north, which is Mount St. Joseph, the nearest building to the lot line is about 1,100 feet. It goes across wetlands, so that is quite a substantial distance. To the south, the property that that Mr. O'Neill owns at, give me 1 second.
Not south, I'm east.
Sorry, east of it. Is at the property line, but there is a large wetland and a detention that separates out the property, Mr. O'Neill's property, from the nearest building. And if you could put the site plan up again on the screen, I would also state that the rears of the buildings are the ones that face the wetland. So you could see that there is a wetland plus. Yeah, if the architect would like to bring up the regular site plan, there you go.
Sorry.
Correct, so you wouldn't have any garage doors.
There's no garage doors facing the east. The topmost row of buildings that you see in the site plan is a side elevation. And otherwise, and the bottommost row is also a side elevation. And again, these are on the westerly portion of the L of the site. And so these buildings back up actually to open space.
Right. Thank you, Sarosh. And I saw another hand came up. You
If you'd like
please-
to comment, please come to the podium. Yes, state your
I
name.
forgot to ask Mr. O'Neill, but were you sworn in, sir?
Did you raise your right hand when?
Sir,
Me?
Did-
Yeah,
Yeah, were you sworn in?
I was just sitting back there when I did it, but yeah.
Okay,
very good.
Thank you.
Um,
Because I just didn't know if I had to swear at you again or not.
sorry.
That's okay.
I just had a couple questions that came up just through the proposal, like, I feel that this is not really what's needed for Lake Zurich
Excuse
considering
me, sir,
Barring-
before you go on, could you state your name and address,
Oh,
please,
sorry,
for the
my name's
record?
Ethan Booty. I live on 1131 Honey Lake Road. I just feel like Barrington and Crystal Lake, and I think I've heard a couple other towns are also proposing these ideas. So I don't feel like the market saturation is enough for Lake Zurich to have them as well. I'd also, the first item on the agenda was the new 19-home development, and that would back up directly to the south of this site. So the proximity of that just doesn't seem like it's a good idea for those new houses. The person in charge was mentioning that it was a bunch of international buyers with digital inventory, so I really don't even understand the point of having a car dealership attached to it, and the coffee shop is really just, I don't know what the point of it is, I guess, is my point. I don't really have a point, if I'm being honest. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I thought I would have enough, sorry, just not good at public
Not a
speaking.
problem.
I also had a question on how the ownership works, and is it like a lease thing? Are you buying like a physical estate like you are in like a normal single-family home? The traffic engineer already answered my questions about the turn lane. You had the same question. I mentioned that Miami and Arizona have a lot of these. Those are a very different climate than Illinois. Car maintenance in Illinois is a lot harder to do than Arizona and Miami. I just don't understand. It's probably not the right term. Don't see the appeal of this type of property, especially living on Honey Lake Road, which is just 1 or 2 stoplights down. It doesn't seem like supercars going up and down Rand would be the best fit for Lake Zurich.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Romeo, you want to address the issue of condo ownership?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Once the property is sold out, there will be a property owners association, and everybody will equally own the site.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more comments from the public? Yes. And were you sworn in as well?
I was.
All right, good, thank you.
My name is Grace Tursich. I live at 119 Alpine Drive, and I just had like a logistical question. So when you're coming down Rand and it's obviously the divided highway, would people trying to get into that area be able to make a U-turn at the light, like right south of the location? Because I feel like that could cause some unnecessary traffic confusion. I know people do it at the light right by like the Binnies on Rand Road, and I've seen people almost get in car accidents, so I just want to address that.
All right, thank you for your comment. We'll bring our traffic consultant up and he'll answer that for us. I saw him on the move already.
The site will provide a full access drive allowing left turns in, left turn and out, right turns in, right turns out. So there would be no need for a U-turn, as anyone coming or going to any direction can just turn directly at the site access.
All right, thank you. Any more comments from the public?
Comments on this? Because there's residential over here. So, we're talking about
Name and
wetland. Oh, I'm sorry.
address.
Stephanie Halen, 154 South Pleasant Road, off of Honey Lake. I welcome this project into Lake Zurich. However, we're talking about wetlands and we're talking about lighting. So from someone who actually lives by wetlands and who is impacted by lighting, I don't care if he is on 10 acres of land. If there is light with those 6 houses, it is going to really annoy them. So since he's gonna have the back of the building versus the garage door in front, I recommend, if you can, to just not put lighting back there so he can enjoy his backyard, because and I will say this, Lake Zurich definitely does reduce lighting as much as they can. That's been actually one of the mottos here in Lake Zurich, no light pollution here. So I will give credit to that, but just let's be considerate towards people. They will be lit up in the back, I'm just saying.
All right, thank you. Okay, anyone else? All right, seeing no one. Commissioners, do we have more questions of the petitioners? No? Are we ready to move to deliberation? All right, thank you. Then I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing and move into deliberation on public hearing application PZC 2025-13.
So moved.
Thanks, Hildy. I think you call the roll, please, colleague.
Commissioner Glowaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Kovacevic,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Muir,
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. Okay. More comments before? Lon, any? Scott? You heard from the audience. Any more? Does that spur any questions? Oh, Mike?
I just have just a quick comment, just because this occasionally comes up, and I appreciate the young man's thoughts. We all have different opinions on what does or does not make sense. From a planning commission standpoint, from the things we do here, we don't necessarily, our job is not to determine if it's a viable business. That's his job. So whether it makes sense to us or not, I have my opinions, we all have our opinions, but that is zero part of our job to decide if it makes sense as a business, or if there's, we're here to make sure that it fits into what Lake Zurich wants for their community. And overall, this could be a very valuable addition, at least, from my perspective. But, I do appreciate what you're saying, because sometimes I go, are you kidding me? what are you thinking? But that's not our job. That's not what we're here to deal with.
Thank you, Lee. Good comment.
This is a completely auto-oriented land use, where there will be cars stored inside buildings, cars able to park in front of buildings. And so when the calculations for the clubhouse were done, we did not see the reason to have them absolutely follow the formula, because number one, the clubhouse will be only for members who already have their cars parked in their condos, most likely. For those that are at a somewhat distance away from the clubhouse, those would be the ones probably driving to the clubhouse to partake in its activities. And during the case of an event, being the fact that everything is privately owned, the developer had indicated to us that they would probably work with the association and the property owners to be able to allow for some overflow parking in between buildings where cars would normally be parked. So that is why we did not find the need to absolutely follow the formula. Otherwise, there would be an ocean of asphalt that would not be used on a regular basis. The other point I also wanted to make is the fact that being that this property does have a wetland in the rear and does have some wetlands to the north and to the south of this property, some of which are being will be impacted by development in the future. We found that the engineering of the stormwater management features here will in a way improve the flow of water southbound into the EasyGo property, which is not within our jurisdictional boundaries, but then further to the south. So it would be helpful to see all of it properly engineered rather than running right now in a natural state. The developers have been very diligent in working with the Lake County Stormwater Management Commission in going through all of the procedures needed to get their wetland approvals, and are, to the greatest extent possible, preserving those wetlands and maintaining them in a way that should be, even if they are within or central to the development. So that was the second point. And the third point is that we find that this property, if annexed to the village, would give the village the opportunity to control how our own properties are impacted. We can only control what is within our jurisdiction, which is why we are not uncomfortable with the idea of this property annexing to the village at this point in time, which is why our staff recommendation is approval of this project.
Right. Thank you, Sarosh. Okay, Mike, that's you. Do you have anything?
I got a question.
Hey, Scott.
So I was just kind of looking at some of the plats, particularly on the west side, where we're talking about like the southwest side of the property, where the southern bay of garages, for lack of better terms, there's a side view facing east, and then the back of them, and then there's a big retention/detention pond, and then the wetland area, correct? Is there a way for us to, just for sake of covering everybody's interest, state that we have to have more landscaping kind of along this top edge of the retention pond, just to help shield any light pollution that may escape eastward? That's something that we can
Good idea.
talk about and kind of put in recommendation, right?
Right. Katie, did you hear what the comment was from Commissioner?
Yeah, I was wondering actually if we could pull this.
Yes, Ali, could you have it back on the screen, please? Yeah, there you go.
So this shows the landscape plan, and so again, the area that you're talking about is, you're saying east of the detention.
East of the buildings, on the eastern edge of the buildings, between.
The west edge of the,
Exactly.
Yes.
right.
Yeah,
Got it.
kind of like at the top of that.
Yeah, and we are already showing some landscaping. I think that if it would be, well received, we could certainly further enhance that with a little bit more tree coverage.
Yeah, for more like,
And we can,
especially like at the end of the, like where the road, where headlights would be facing east.
yeah, and we could certainly, again, make those evergreens, because I think that would really serve you
Some
well.
more screening type.
Yeah.
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 And it, just by, using this little scale that I got here,
Sure.
it appears that the corner of that southernmost building to the east property line, Is that safe to say that's about 400 feet to that east property line?
I did a rough, it's about 500
500? Okay,
to the property line.
yeah.
And then there are two homes. One of them is about 50 feet in, east of that property line, and Mr. O'Neill's property is about 100 feet in from the property line.
Okay.
I think we can easily talk to our landscape team about adding a few more trees in those areas, because I can see where that would be sensitive. And for what it's worth, we're really not looking at any building-mounted lighting on that side. And so I'm hopeful that really all the lighting is going to be, again, on the other side of the building, even the security lighting, so.
There are no walking paths planned along the rears of the buildings right
Okay.
now.
So the buildings themselves provide screening.
Exactly. And so, I mean, we're looking at like one window on each of those units, so there might be a little bit of light as you would see from an apartment building, but that's about it.
Okay.
But again,
To look at,
they're not living there. They're
Right.
not living in
Correct.
these spaces, so it's not necessary. Are they gonna be lit 24/7 or just if
No.
somebody's there?
Just when somebody's there. And so, again, most often daytime hours, really, but, yeah.
okay. But you would still look at additional screening along that bank of the retention, because it only helps preserve the retention basin anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, for what it's worth, I think that it's hard to get a sense from this diagram of the existing vegetation in the wetlands area that's going to all be preserved and maintained that we're not touching. But that'll be, I think, meaningful. And so then, yes, whatever we can do to slightly enhance those edges, we're happy to take a look at.
Especially where headlights would be
Right.
heading eastbound.
Yeah, I think we had been thinking clearly like a little bit more to the south and to the southwest. And so we can do the same treatment in these areas that we're talking about to the east.
Thanks, Katie.
And if I may add a comment too, and Romeo, you can confirm this, it is our contention that most of the activity will center around the clubhouse area, because it appears that these buildings on the east side are more the storage, the more quiet area of the subdivision. And with narrow aisles in between, there isn't much room for large crowds and for large number of cars to park. I think if someone wants to show off their car, again, strictly my opinion, they would probably end up doing it at the clubhouse, as Katie described, where you can drive into the building or in front of the building and show off the cars.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Can you
sir.
confirm that, Mr.?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
All right,
And-
thank you.
One more question. I mean, these are people's babies, right? They're not gonna be doing like a takeover like in Chicago, doing donuts around the circle of the clubhouse, right? I mean, they're
No,
not
we're
gonna be-
talking about a completely different clientele.
Exactly, because yeah, exactly. All right.
All right. Glenn, you have any more comments? Although it might be fun, but anyway, all right. Any more questions or comments? We move to final motion? Okay. On application PZC 2025-13, I will entertain a motion to receive into public record the staff review of compliance of this application with the zoning standards as presented by staff, and to receive the testimony presented by the applicant, by members of the public, by the PZC members and staff, and to make these standards and testimony a part of the official record for the application and findings of the PZC. Two additional conditions, one being that all auto sales to be processed on-site, and that the petition will investigate improved landscape screening along the west bank of the retention basin. And then to recommend that the village board approve the application for annexation, zoning, and subdivision of the property through a planned unit development, PUD, for automobile condominiums, a retail building, and a clubhouse at 2500 North Rand Road.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Scott. Thanks, Hildy. Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Glowacz,
Aye.
Commissioner Kovacevic,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Muir,
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. So you have unanimous recommendation of the PZC, and this will move to a village board at a date yet
At a
set.
date that we will have to determine with the developer, as we are in discussion with how they wish to proceed with their next steps. So we will be in discussions with them.
Great, thank you so much, really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Romeo.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing this to our village. We're excited.
You're welcome, thank you.
Okay, then we're moving to, out of order, but item 4A, which is application PZC 2025-12 for 173 West Main Street. This is an application for a planned unit development, PUD, for the redevelopment of the vacant property with a new mixed-use development consisting of 19 single-family townhomes and approximately 4,075 square foot commercial building, associated parking areas and stormwater detention facilities to be known as the waterfront of Lake Zurich. Staff, can you confirm this proper notice was given on the item?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And then would you present the applicants to us, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This evening, we do have Mr. Derek Goodman, representing the Huron Group here to present his proposal on how they wish to redevelop this property. And at some point, when you're ready for your presentation to be on the screen, the operator in the back room will bring it on. Is it on the laptop?
It's on here now.
Okay,
Yeah,
very good.
thanks.
Thank you.
Sign in real quick. All right, you ready? Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Derek Goodman, 747 Lake Cook Road, Deerfield, Illinois, 60015. If you're not familiar with us, we are a real estate developer who works primarily between the city of Chicago and Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. Been in business for about 40 years and deliver about 50 to 60 homes a year. So we have a very long track record and history of successfully building quality developments throughout northern Illinois. This project, if we want to bring it up on the screen, actually wasn't on our radar. We actually had a meeting with the village about a couple other projects, and I had, on my way to the village hall, actually drove past this project. As a kid, I went to Sarah Adams about 37 years ago, and went to JJ Twiggs all the time, and wondered why for 20 years this property has remained vacant. And as we looked at the site ourselves, we talked to the village. They said, "Oh, you guys should take a look at it." We went back to the office, took a look at it, and realized that there's so many limitations with this site. A lot of people might think there's great ideas of what can be done with this site and what can't be done. And then you look at the area surrounding it. To the north, you've got apartments. To the south, you've got grade C office buildings and apartment units. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, to redevelop Lake Zurich. I think when Route 22 came in, the bypass, a lot of that development went to the outskirts of town. So developers haven't spent a lot of time investing and looking at this site, but there's been proposals in the past for single-family homes, which doesn't really work on a main street when you have apartments to the north and commercial to the south. There's been proposals on the site for 4-story apartment buildings with multiple restaurants in them, and that's just that level of density is not supported. So when we look at it, really the only opportunity to join that commercial aspect of downtown with the apartments to the north was a hybrid project, bringing in a residential component and a commercial component that the residents of Lake Zurich can benefit from, as well as residents of downtown and the residents of the waterfront. In looking at this, we want to make sure we didn't utilize the entire site as a parking lot. So townhomes are a natural for this because you not only have a 2-car private garage, but your driveway as part of the townhome offers 2 parking spots for your guests, and there's opportunity for guest parking within the development. So we laid out 19 townhomes, 8 facing Main Street, 8 facing Lake Street, and 4 in the center adjacent to the detention that would be required. The other thing we looked at is the natural transition into the downtown, putting a restaurant that would be similar finishes, similar height. This restaurant is proposed right now. We're looking for a tenant to be a 2-story restaurant where the first floor would be more family-oriented, offering opportunities for residents to bring their friends and family in with indoor and outdoor space. And the second floor offering private space along with public space as well as outdoor space. As I mentioned, the site's quite complex. You've got lots of utilities running through the site, as well as along Miansky and Lake, and we've been able to work with Public Works quite well to address all those issues. We also looked at the finishes of these homes, and I'll walk you through the floor plans here shortly. We want to pick something that doesn't take what is a historical downtown and make it ultra-modern. So we looked at something that takes in more traditional products like stone throughout the first floor and the sides, and combine it with high-quality siding, so we're using James Hardie siding throughout, and we'll have samples up here to take a look at as well. So the site plan is laid out as such. You can see the 19 units, as I mentioned, some facing Main, some facing Lake, and it worked really well with what we knew was coming, which was the Main Street beautification project, where there's going to be new public parking, 15 new spots right in front of the commercial establishment and promenade, and then to the north, there's another 15 spots that are parallel parking spots as well. As you can see, as you come in on Waterfront Street and Shore Drive, each owner has their own private driveway that conforms with the city's driveway codes, just as you would in a single-family home. And we also have 4 guest parking spots within the garage sides to support guests. There is one-way access going out only for the owners out to Miansky as another point of exit if you didn't want to go out on Lake Street. And then an in and out in Miansky out to Main Street for the commercial establishment. This gives you some elevations. These are slightly updated. One of the challenges with this site is grading. Lake Street pitches at extremely high pitch up, while Main Street is relatively flat and Miansky is quite flat. So you'll see some of these homes you're entering on the second floor, while most of the rest are entering on the first floor in a traditional townhome. These are 3-story townhomes. 3-story townhomes are a newer concept. You're seeing them in a lot of places. Land values have gone up in the market, and to support those land values, it makes more sense to build up rather than out to allow for a lot of these things, such as front yards and full driveways. So these are typical single-family home, 2-car garages that you would find, 22 by 21. On the first floor, you have a flexible space. In some of the units, this will be a partially below grade at the ones on Lake Street space. They have an option for a full bath or half bath, storage, and a laundry room. Going up to the second floor, you've got a very open floor plan. We talk about the types of products we use. We use pretty decent quality products in our homes. You're gonna have quartz countertops. You're gonna have nice windows and balconies. You overlook the lake or over Lake Street. We have a walk out onto a balcony. So front and rear views, a nice sized family room, kitchen and powder room. And then a 3-bedroom second floor, offering people a master suite facing the front of the house, as well as 2 bedrooms and a hall bath on the 3rd floor, and washer dryer as well. This goes to show you the elevations again. The first floor is primarily stone. Second and 3rd floor is going to be hardy board with an asphalt roof. The accents will be metal roofs, and the balconies will be made of composite and wood. And there's a few different colors that they're using, Arctic white and night gray, along with the stone product throughout. The rears of the building, again, 2-car garages look a little bit different, again, because you've got sort of jogs in the elevations on the front to create some texture to the building. The backs are obviously a little more flat. But again, 2-car garages with the addresses on the back. The restaurant, this is a preliminary floor plan. The tenant ultimately is going to lay their restaurant out. But the floor plan is about 70 by 80, which is about 4,450 square feet per floor, with outdoor seating facing Main Street. And then again, on the second floor, you're also going to have outdoor seating that's actually set back to the face of the building right here. So this becomes patio. So the second floor is slightly smaller at 3,160 square feet. You're going to have a full kitchen on the first floor, and most of the restrooms are going to be on the second floor, with some ADA restrooms on the first floor. Again, the name here is just preliminary. We're interviewing. There's a variety of tenants interested in the space that we've been working with. We've got a short list of 8 right now who are very interested, but again, most restaurant tenants aren't going to move forward until the property's properly platted and the utilities are in and things of that nature.
It's a long, short list.
It is a long, short list. Like I said, we've been around for a very long time, and we have a strong network of people. We've either built their establishments for them or just know them through building their homes. This kind of just shows the grade change from the front to the back. So you can see the fronts aren't really 3 stories at Lake Street. They're more of a 2-story unit where the driveway at the rear goes a little bit lower. I'm just going to skip ahead. This is just plat of subdivision stuff. Just to show the landscape plan here. Where is that? So one of the concerns, obviously, that we recognize as a developer before we even started this is that there are single-family homes to the east. As you can see here and here, we're proposing 6-foot fences and relatively tall arborvitaes to go in front of those as well. That will get upwards of 15 feet to block any type of concerns along that drive. Again, that drive's a one-way drive that will very rarely be utilized. It's primarily, a garbage truck route and or, an emergency route for someone else. The aluminum fence will be used around the detention pond. It is a detention pond. It should have a relatively dry basin most of the time, and an aluminum fence will go around that just for protection because it is about 4 feet deep at the deepest point within that. And then here's just, again, the samples that you see below, just a selection of those building materials. We'll just open it up to any questions at this time that you might have. Yeah.
Sean, we'll start with you.
Okay.
No questions at this time.
All right, Ildy?
Well, first and foremost, why are you going 3 stories? Why don't you just put basements and do 2 stories? Why is it so high?
So if you do a 2-story unit, the first floor, the floors have to get wider to get the above grade square footage that people want. So these are 2,500 square foot units to support a family. And to do that, for every 2 units we're building, you'd probably only get 1 unit in there.
Okay.
Well, that would.
I don't have a problem with
Yeah.
that.
Okay, well, then what happens is we have to sacrifice something. So the restaurant, which is the biggest opportunity here for public use, it would take up that space. At that point, we would probably look at just going to single-family homes.
Okay. I mean, personally, I think it's way too dense. And there's too much going in there. It's blocking the lake. I'm concerned about the parking. Parking is inadequate. I think it's very disingenuous to think that there's going to be spaces and you're going to be able to share parking with other businesses. The 15 parking spaces directly in front, those are intended for people that want to take advantage of the promenade, not for people buying townhouses and parking there. That's what that's supposed to be there for. So just, the parking is inadequate, and, I see a lot of problems with that. We've got other businesses where parking is a huge issue, and I just don't think we, as a village, should do these types of things again. And I guess maybe this isn't the time for comment. The other thing that I'm concerned about, and this is more for staff, we've talked about, the comprehensive plan and what we're talking about. And one of the things that came out very loud and clear for Lake Zurich is that people want to stay. They want to age in place. They want to stay in Lake Zurich. And once again, we're considering adding homes where you've got stairs, you've got 2 and 3 floors, you don't have anything for, it does not meet that goal for the village, and it doesn't seem like we're doing anything to address that particular concern. So I don't see this, I'm very concerned about all of this. Parking, the density, I understand that you're trying to make a profit and you want to maximize the space, but to me, it's way too dense. It looks like row houses, which I don't think is suitable for our community. But, we'll see. I'll listen to what the other commissioners say, but just, for me, I just think it's very, very, very dense, and there's a lot being jammed into a very small space that is supposed to be a beautiful lakefront place to stroll and walk, and there goes the food trucks, there goes the there's not gonna be any, because nobody will be able to park there. So it doesn't make too much sense to me. I think the parking is a huge issue, putting everything else aside.
I have one quick question related to the parking.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's for the applicant or you, Sarosh, but the angled parking that they're showing along Main, is that part of the promenade redevelopment, or is this
Yeah.
being proposed specifically for?
No, it's part of the promenade development and is not intended to be dedicated to this project.
Right, so that,
But it will be open to visitors,
yeah,
either
it's
visiting the
I mean, it's-
promenade or the
right,
restaurant.
it's public parking,
It's
but
public parking.
it
for
sort of
some-
defeats the point.
Thanks. Mike?
I'm good right now.
Okay. Scott?
Same. I'm good right now.
Vlad?
Just maybe a couple of questions. I didn't see anywhere here any restrictions in the HOA for rentals. Because, anything that would happen here, I think we wouldn't want people renting those properties and making money off of that. I think we had a restriction on the other development, the 15 units, 15 houses. So, I mean, I don't know if that's a concern for anyone. And then, did you look into any underground stormwater detention systems for
Yeah.
the site?
So I'll answer both those questions. The first question was about rentals. These are for sale product. This is not for rent.
I meant more like the
Yeah,
owners
and then the
being able to
HOA,
rent.
the
Right.
second part of the question. So the HOA does have, our HOAs typically allow rentals, but there are minimum terms of 12 months. So there will be no short-term Airbnb type rental or 6-month rental. We find oftentimes people get relocated last minute. They work for a company, especially in a downtown, more dense area, and they need to rent their home. We also have very strict rules in our HOAs about maintaining the properties, what can be on your driveway, for like garbage cans, things like that. So our HOAs are relatively restricted, but we don't want to restrict people from not being able to rent their property if they own it and have a situation where they need to relocate. And then as far as the question around detention, and staff can speak to this too, this property is quite complex, both that it is close to water, that it was a demolished site with fill, and that it the stormwater management in that area is not the greatest, based on historical. That's one of the lower points of the city. So we are proposing underground detention, in addition to the detention we've already put in place. We're gonna be adding additional detention under the parking lot, and that's what we're working with staff on as the follow-up to this. We're going back and forth on different calculations and different types of products right now to use.
The reason I was asking was, if that area could be used for something better than, detention basin. Like if you were to add underground detention underneath that driveway, the 24-foot
Yeah.
drive, that could fit.
Yeah.
The volume should be able to fit there. Open that up for something else.
Yeah. I think just based on the analysis, and staff can speak to it, right now we're looking at the commercial lot to essentially be underground detention. We're also looking at certain products that allow us to use that 12 or 13-foot space in addition to that. But no matter what type of underground detention we put, we're still gonna need a detention basin within it. Which we also think the way we're gonna finish it with the retaining walls, and having a water-based bottom will actually be a beautiful element of what amounts to be garage doors facing the interior.
I echo the same concern with density. Not so much with height, but the density. And what I've heard from people on Facebook is really not so much the density itself, but what it takes away from that place. So people want to have more things there that they want to be able to use.
Sure.
Other stuff, not, it's a great restaurant, looks fantastic. Is there a way to add something else there? That's why I was asking about in the detention, if a couple of those units could be moved back where that detention is, to open up the frontage, to put in one more smaller restaurant, maybe something like a pizza place like Neoteca in Barrington.
Yeah.
Something like that. People,
So
'cause, I assume this will be a higher end restaurant.
No, not necessarily, no.
Okay.
We're looking at a restaurant that supports both families as well as adults. There's 5 out of the 8 people that we're talking to all own restaurants in Lake County that are family at the right hours and adult, as it deems appropriate. That's also part of the reason we have 2 floors in there, really to separate those 2 experiences. It may become, as we progress the project, that there's 2 different concepts, one on each floor. But the businesses we're talking to are family-oriented businesses, which was our goal with this project, to bring back what was there, which was J.J. Twiggs, which was a family-oriented business, to the property. Obviously, commercial space doesn't necessarily pay for property or improvements. You're talking multi-million dollars in improvements now. Back when it was J.J. Twiggs, water drains wherever it goes, sewer goes wherever it goes. Now you're putting in sewer, water, storm, underground detention, which is probably the most expensive thing in a project like this. It's only a 1.5 acre site.
Oh, thank you.
One more comment on the parking. We are working on multiple agreements, both with looking at options with the city and also have an agreement already in place with a nearby business that should be done in the next week for staff parking off-site, so that our guest parking spots would be purely for the guests who are using that business. And we have no problem putting in the HOA that the 15 spots along Main Street can't be used by residents. They have their guest parking on their side of the building, and that's not a problem for us.
Serge, is there a time limit on those parking spots, the 15?
Not that I know of, no. We don't have time limits on any of our Main Street area parking. I mean, besides no overnight parking on streets.
Would be considered on-street?
Yes, these are considered on-street because you access them directly from the street and they're not associated with any private property directly.
But we are talking an 8,000 square foot restaurant approximately, the 2 stories, and basically 24 parking spaces for an 8,000 square foot restaurant.
It's about 7,500 square feet, but yeah, almost 2,000 square feet of that's kitchen space. The other part is outside space. So we envision the second floor to be less about food and more about people enjoying, like you said, they want to see the fireworks. Where do you go? Great outdoor space to sit out and watch the fireworks. Chairs out there to lounge and sit with friends, families, that type of
And
stuff.
they all have to find parking for that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, in most downtown districts, it is very common to walk to establishments. I hear what you're saying, but again, you also said you're looking for single-story places for people to stay in Lake Zurich. That requires a condo building.
Didn't say single story.
That-
Ground floor master, things
Sure,
like that,
sure.
something
And
that
this
accommodates.
this property can't support single family at this point. So if we're purely looking from a zoning perspective, single family really doesn't work here and condo doesn't
And
work.
I'm not talking single family. I live in Lake Zurich. I have a townhouse that has a ground floor master, so it is possible. Now, I don't know square footage, I'm not an engineer, I'm not an architect, whatever. I just feel, to me, you've got 2 huge issues here, density and the parking. And I don't want us to have the same situation here that we had with other restaurants that have come in where the projection of parking need and the reality of what the restaurant actually did were 2 very different things. And it's a very not good situation. I won't go into it any further. We can't have that anymore. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make sense to me from a parking standpoint. Eliminate 4 or 5 of the townhouses and add parking. That might make some sense. What are you projecting or what are you anticipating for pricing of these homes?
Unfortunately, we don't have that quite finalized yet because we're still working through, the cost of improvements, because this is not approved yet, the plat. These will probably start around $549.
Okay. Well, Derek, for those that follow our proceedings here, they know that my comment would relate to what the staff review of compliance is. And that's where they indicate through the color of font that they use, whether or not they see concerns or not. If it's green, everything's good. If it's yellow, it's cautionary. If it's red, there's a flag. We do have some yellow in the staff review of compliance with yours. In every instance, though, where there has been a yellow comment inserted, it has been followed up with, they still think, their recommendation is that it still goes ahead with their approval, even with the caution. So, and having been at this position long enough, you also gave the history, and I've seen the history on this site over the years. And absolutely, we've seen, in terms of the density, we have seen entertained proposals that were much more dense than what yours were. There were 4, and at one time there was even a 5-story proposed for this area that was not in keeping with what we would want for this particular location. But your proposal, in my opinion, is a compromise between the ones that we didn't like going forward and what this is. And I understand the parking is a concern, but the one thing that I've heard from people I've spoken to is that what they're excited about is the restaurant component, is because that you are integrating into the development. It's not just all going to be residential. The one project we entertained was single family in a streetscape similar to Chicago style that would have offered nothing for the public access. It was all going to be taken up by single-family homes. There was no public area. So the fact that we still have this property being developed with the public component, and the reason I'm excited about that, and I keep talking about the success of Sunset Pavilion that went up on the other side,
That has no parking.
and the number of people that have enjoyed that since it has opened has been phenomenal. So I think those 8 restaurant people you're talking to are talking to you because they've seen the success of that, and they know that this restaurant can be successful because of what it offers, the amenity it would offer. So I think in terms of if we get these issues addressed that you're working with staff on already, I think it's a positive benefit to the village to finally have this property off our hands into yours, since it's been ours since 2003. So we're glad to see Huron One take an interest in this, so thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, Chairman Stratman, wanted to good evening. My name is Michael Dubner. Most of you, I think, know me. I'm the Assistant Village Manager. I'm here this evening because I've worked very closely with this development. And parking is something that we at staff are acutely aware of. We're looking for more of a comprehensive parking solution, as you are probably cognizant of, is that we have another piece of property, which is the former police station. We know it as Block B, and it is our intent to provide and look at more parking opportunities in the East and West Main Street area to provide that parking that people feel is necessary in order to come to the downtown, to enjoy the lakefront, to enjoy the amenities that have been placed there, such as what we're hoping is going to happen with this restaurant, as well as what we're experiencing with Sunset Pavilion already now. So it's a comprehensive solution. We are not looking at everything on a single lot by single lot or block by block. We're just looking at the entire West Main Street area to alleviate some of those pressures. So I just wanted to mention that.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dubner.
So I do think that is a tough property to develop, and this is probably a really good fit for it. I mean, I spent a lot of time talking with other people down there trying to work with other developers years ago on it, and everyone said you got to go high, you got to go wide, and for anyone to go in and spend money to develop it, it's a challenge. So I think having the restaurant in there is a positive. Parking is, it's brutal, but it's brutal everywhere down there. So people will find a way to get a parking spot and go where they want to go. As far, would it be nice to have condos? Sure, but it's just not feasible for that property. So I would agree with Chairman Stratman that it's probably the best fit that we've seen so far.
Thank you.
Okay.
You can put whatever signs you want out there. People don't pay attention anyway, so.
Exactly.
I gotta chase
exactly.
people out of my lot all the time.
Can you explain the TIF impact on this, somebody? Because this is in the TIF district. So what does that mean from their perspective, from the developers?
The developer has not asked for any TIF assistance for that property. That's all I can share with you at this point in time. It is in the TIF. It is in the TIF that will expire in 2038. So not too many more years. So we're certainly looking for development to occur there.
I'm a lot older than you.
To,
2038.
you know, retire some of those bonds that are sitting out there.
Yeah,
I hope that answers your question.
I think so. Okay.
Okay, anyone from the audience wishing to speak to this item? Okay.
Stephanie Halen, 154 South Pleasant Road. A few of my questions were answered. The price, I was curious on what the price was going to be. I know this is like a PZC meeting, but because the Huron Group wanted to go straight to PZC based upon a meeting several months ago, they weren't going to do a courtesy review. So I'm going to ask a couple questions there, and probably a couple questions to Mike Dubin or to staff. If not tonight, I would actually like those answered, though. So, okay, my first one is for the developer. You had mentioned on the commercial side, which is it like a two-story restaurant? What you're saying? Okay, so they could be two separate entities, basically. Like you can have like a tenant down here, tenant above.
That's not the plan today, but that is hypothetical.
Okay, so my question is, and the reason I'm going to ask this is because I know. Granted that you're talking to, my question was going to be, do you have any tenants for the facility, which you said that you're talking to 8 tenants. So my question is to you is, how confident are you that you are going to actually get a restaurant on that site? And the reason I'm asking this question is because we had a parcel in the current downtown. It was the old bank building. It's now called Vault 232. At that particular time, we were talking, the talks were to put like 3 separate businesses in that building, and it ended up being 1 restaurant. We talk about, I'm not sure what the building's called, I call it the Craving Euros building. So we had a few tenants there. We have Craving Euros, we have some little shop that's gonna go in, but that developer kind of came in and he's saying, oh, I'm gonna have a bar over here, and I'm gonna have a drive-through cupcake shop on the end, which I'm like, I don't know how you're gonna do that in a parking lot, but we kind of get the sell of the property. However, I am going to say this, I do agree with Commissioner Muir. 100%, this is the best proposal since I've lived here in 24 years that has come forward. And the reason all those other proposals did not come forward was a financing issue. I know everybody in town feels that they want these shops and they want these commercial and they want whatever. Take a look at Long Grove. And secondly, with the dollar value of that property, I really don't think that commercial would actually survive there that long. You can go down to even Deer Park, they're even struggling at this point. So I'm very happy that this is a mixed-use development. I think that's a very smart move, and I do know from a commercial banker even suggested that this property should actually be a mixed use. I don't think that the property is too dense. I'm not, I do agree with Commissioner Schultz on the 3-story. However, I don't think, I'm just gonna ask this question, you probably can't, she's mentioning about putting like a bedroom like on the 1st floor, so if somebody of age wanted to still kind of stay on the bottom. But at the same time, I think what you're talking, from the 3rd floor, the bottom floor would end up being probably where the HVAC would actually be, correct? When coming out of that garage, and from living in a townhouse, that it could be a little noisy, so I don't know if you use energy efficiency in there, but I did have a townhouse in Palatine. In regards to the parking that everyone's concerned about, when I lived in my townhouse, I actually had a 2-car garage and parking in the driveway. However, there was like a little area for like visitor parking. There wasn't many. There are probably more townhomes there than there are actually here. However, I'm not exactly sure where you're talking about. If you can just, I don't know if you can show me at the end, like where that side parking that you're talking about around the building. I don't know where that would be for, because you're talking about like side parking for like visitors or something like that. So where can you just show me like where? Sorry about that.
Can we have the site plan back on?
I'm probably
the
not
screen,
gonna make
please?
it to the meeting, so I want to get my questions out here.
Ali, can we have the site plan? Ah, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
So we have 5 spaces,
okay.
4 here,
For there,
and
okay.
1 here.
Okay, perfect, okay. Okay, so then you do kind of fulfill that. I will say, with the number of units and the commercial, parking is definitely insufficient. So I guess here's my questions for the village staff. So, you did answer that in front of the promenade, those, angle parking lots, I'm very happy to hear that those will actually be able to be used by whomever, and those are gonna actually stay public, so people can enjoy the promenade. That is a big concern for people, to watch a sunset or whatever it may be. It's just something here in town. Secondly, in regards to Block B, I'm glad this was actually brought up as well. So, Michael, you brought up that you're looking into like east and west, a little bit more global, for some parking. I guess my question is what is the plan for Block B? And if Block B were to be considered for parking, what is the square footage on that land, and how many parking spots would that actually hold? And also, I'm not saying that maybe that spot potentially should be considered maybe to, I'm gonna use the word like contract out to maybe other businesses in the downtown area, so maybe multiple businesses can use them, and they can maybe be charged a fee to use that spot. I don't really know about that. This is a little bit of an idea I had there. Secondly, not exactly sure, sometimes I don't know why, but how come the village, I know we've asked different property members to be able to share spaces. I don't really know how I feel about that. We're kind of putting pressure on some other businesses down there, but how come Village Hall hasn't offered to use, how about using their parking lot? Because if we're gonna walk, it's a very nice little walk kind of going down towards Main. Secondly, the other space would actually be even the Legion. Would the Legion Hall be willing to utilize parking? I don't know. I mean, these are things that staff would have to respond to, answer, and whatnot for additional parking. As for the pavilion, yes, that was actually a village project, and that actually went in there with insufficient parking. And I think that has set like a horrible precedence in regards to development here in Lake Zurich, especially in the downtown. Pine Tree Row, where Bobbers is an absolute nightmare. And that has never been fixed, and unfortunately, those people have to suffer down there. In regards to being walkable friendly, that's great, but some people might need to drive to kind of walk around downtown. I don't really know. This is actually gonna be good for the other businesses, whether it be Vault, Stop and Grounds, Apres Bakery, The Florist, Lilo Bowl, Craving Euros, which is a positive here as well. I am actually very happy. I did not see this on the proposal. I'm actually thrilled because people don't even bring, their building materials into a PZC anymore. It's the fact that there's going to be stone on the building. I'm actually thrilled with that. I'm a more timeless person, and I actually enjoy looking at different types of stone. So that's another plus for the developer there. And actually, the other thing that has been discussed as well is the schools. So a lot of people don't understand that some of these properties around the area have been up for sale for many, many years. The schools and the village are two separate government entities. However, we do have a community problem. And I do believe we are going to be entertaining again in September the apartments over at the Regal Theater. So that's going to be another, I don't know how many they were talking over there, if it's going to be condensed or whatnot. But now the schools are now a community problem. It is a village problem, and it is now a school problem. So my question is I think Trustee Riley, I don't mean to be calling him out, Trustee Riley brought it up, I believe at the time when the Kildare neighbors were out discussing the apartments, and he looked over to the mayor, Mayor Poynton, and he basically said, we need to start talking to the schools. So I'm here to say, we need to start talking to the schools. We need to be a little bit more prudent with our PUDs. We need to be more prudent with our zoning changes. We need a little bit less density. I mean, we have the schools. I'm very concerned with our school district. So this is something that the village needs to talk. We need to work in hand with the school district. Also, let's see. I got here. Views, school district, mixed use, and can you reconfirm the property, the price that you're gonna pay for the property? I know it was like 1 million, but I forgot what it was. Can someone confirm the price, the for sale price of the property when it's sold? If he puts a down payment, if Derek here puts the down payment on it, anybody? Or is it still negotiation? You're not gonna say? It's okay, I'm just asking. Because he mentioned when he came to the board that they're gonna pay X amount of money. I don't remember the price off the top of my head, and I didn't go back into my due diligence. My apologies. And it was brought up that he was gonna come here, and if the contract went X, Y, and Z, down payment, blah, blah, blah. So is that still worked out? You don't respond to me on that? That's okay. But I'm just kind of curious on that as well. Other than that, I don't know, welcome to Lake Zurich.
I'm not yet.
Okay, thank you. Sir, you're up.
I got my purse.
Good evening, John Roach, 37 Mayansky Drive. I'm right in the middle of all this, right? And my big concern is her big concern, is parking. And I don't want Mayansky Drive and Lake Street to turn into a Bobber's. Okay? So I want all the parking away from behind the buildings. So the village needs to figure out where they're gonna put it. I would suggest that they buy out the apartment building, knock it down, and put public parking in there. It's close enough to the restaurants that people will park there, and people can still get to the lake, and because it's right there. If you go farther up the street, even to where the old police department was, people aren't gonna go there. They don't wanna walk that far. They wanna be able to get into the restaurant. Looking at their plan that they had of the building, the restaurant they put in there, if they put the seats in, it said there would be about 105 seats in the restaurant. And if there's 105 seats, you would need 35 parking places, because you need three parking places you need one parking place for every 3 seats. That's in an architect book that I've looked it up at. So you'd have to come up with another 14 or 15 parking places. You've got the barbecue place that's right across the street. With what you're doing, you're taking all of his extra parking places and they're gone. Okay? And there are times when they are parked across the street, or they were, with the barbecue place. Now you're gonna add more problems with it. And again, the apartment building would be a great place to knock it down, get rid of some blight, and put parking in. That would be my suggestion. On your plan, your exit to the building onto Mayansky Drive, I would like to see that made a left-hand turn only. So if you're pulling out that way, you have to go out to Main Street. Okay? And if you're gonna go on the other side where the exit is, I would like to see that be a right-hand turn only. So people from there have to go Everybody has to go out to Main Street instead of going around Mayansky Drive and Lake Street and back around the pond. So we try to keep as much traffic out of there as we can.
Okay.
So that's the concerns I've had, and my neighbors, I've talked to them, they all say the same thing: parking, parking, parking. Because you got to be down there like at the, when the fireworks is going off, okay? And there's signs there that say, no parking, temporary, police order. And every one of those signs gets knocked down by cars that are parked along the edges. They don't obey them, because we do not enforce our parking rules. And I'll say that because of the buildings, the apartment buildings that we built. Okay, there are always cars parked overnight on Main Street in those parking places next to the apartment buildings, because they don't have enough parking. I guess that would be the only reason I could think of why they wouldn't be in there. All right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roach.
You're welcome.
Hello, my name is Chris Napier. I live at 199 Alpine Drive here in Lake Zurich. So I just wanted to dedicate this one to the recent comprehensive report. So in March of this year, we released a comprehensive report for Lake Zurich, and I think that was felt with a lot of optimism, a lot of reprieve about what the direction of this village is going to be. And our slogan here is at the heart of a community. And the heart of our community is our lake. So it's rare to have an opportunity at the heart of Lake Zurich for such a vision to be set for lakefront property. Lakefront property here in Lake Zurich is rare, it's fleeting, so special attention must be given to that property when it arises, such as with this location. So when you look at that and you look at the comprehensive report, you come back to small town feel, community, togetherness, warmth, side by side with your neighbor. And while I appreciate what Mr. Goodman is presenting with the mixed use, with the apartments, the townhomes, I don't believe that's the right fit for this spot. I feel like we've gone from 5 stories to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, maybe just 0 stories. Like maybe apartments and townhomes are not right for this spot. When you drive down Main and you come into Lake Zurich, you see the beautiful lake, the revitalized pavilion and promenade, and then you look to your right and it's townhomes. It doesn't necessarily match the vision. And when you think about the vision of Lake Zurich, it should be an outdoor space for people to enjoy, for families to frequent, to bring them into the community and understand what we're about here in Lake Zurich, which is community, family, being outdoors and connecting, which is evident by the Sunset Pavilion. So my proposal would be, while I don't think the townhome is the right addition for this space, I do believe a restaurant, a mixed use in that regard is perfect for this spot. Within the proposals shared by Huron Group and reviewed by staff and done in the comprehensive report, they do mention that a green space was going to be included, and then in the staff notes, it mentioned that the green space will now be accommodated by the promenade additions. It feels like a caveat. It feels like almost a loophole. We're trying to say that while we can add the townhomes, we're getting by with what we've already done, and we're not continuing to expand. And I feel this is the time to double down on that vision we set in the comprehensive report for Lake Zurich and continue to expand that vision of community and being outdoors. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Mr. Napier, I will tell you, I attended most of the charrettes that were on that comprehensive plan, and I met with the facilitator that was doing all of it. And when I look at this project, and I wish she was here this evening, because if I presented this to her, I think she would think it was in perfect keeping with what their vision was, because some of the stuff, if you attended the charrettes that they presented, was almost like the Huron Group had seen some of what they had prepared, because the stuff that they listed as conceptual drawings looks very similar to what we're seeing in this presentation. So this is in fact in keeping with that comprehensive plan that was assembled through 18 months worth of effort.
And I appreciate the work done in that, and I do agree that the imagery and the townhomes and the ideals of what they're presenting is in line with that. I just don't believe that this space fits all that criteria with the the townhomes in the space.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate your comment.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Grace Tarsich. I live at 199 Alpine Drive in Lake Zurich. I work for a nonprofit advocacy group that deals often with sustainable growth and within towns and communities. According to a statement by Commissioner Chair Orlando Stratman, the Commission's function and purpose is to review and discuss proposed projects that come into the village. In that same interview, Orlando stated that some commissioners are swayed by residents' testimonies. With that being said, let me speak as to why I believe the current plan for the Lakefront Promenade contradicts and opposes the culture and community of the village of Lake Zurich. My husband and I moved here last year. We saw Lake Zurich as a place where we could raise our future family, a place that has a small town feel, but still close to our own family, and a place that prioritizes community. Now, with the future plans of this town, we are genuinely questioning if we want to remain in Lake Zurich and have our future be here. The current proposal of Block A, which will include 19 single-family townhomes and a commercial building, is an ineffective use of the land that should be completely devoted to the community. In my opinion, if Lake Zurich moves forward with this proposed plan to insert these townhomes into the heart of the community, you will fail the current residents of this town. The current residents are continually asking for more family-friendly spaces with appropriate parking. The current residents are begging for your support in the overcrowded schools. The current residents are imploring the village for a lakefront space that cares about its existing community. To take a uniquely heritage-filled heart of the lakefront and make it into a private space for a few prospective residents is in complete opposition from the comprehensive plan and in opposition of the overall interest of all of Lake Zurich community members. The slogan of Lake Zurich is at the heart of community. But with a proposed plan, the heart of Lake Zurich will be an expensive residential private space for a small group of people. Devoid of character and culture, the first thing people will see as they enter our town will be a space dedicated to those who can afford a private sunset. There are so many amazing opportunities to take root on this land. We can add a community garden with opportunities to teach our future generations about collaborative effort and togetherness. We can add in an accessible playground so children with disabilities can be included in the community. We can add in a charming general store so residents can walk or bike to grab some milk and eggs. We can add in a year-round affordable restaurant like the Sunset Pavilion with an enclosed patio to enjoy the lakefront. We can add in a small business incubator and stimulate business and support current residents. The City of McHenry, it's a really cool project. They recently added an incubator village, like these little cottages, into their downtown area, and the area is thriving. We can be creative and plan for a community-based future. I plead with you to stop trying to make Lake Zurich into a congested urban space lacking the village's heritage. That is not why families stay here. Invest in your current community. Support our families and children as they will be the future of this town. I also urge you to reschedule this discussion as much as my neighborhood could not be here tonight due to the back-to-school obligations they had. I deeply urge the Commission to please postpone this decision until a more community-focused, culturally vibrant, and generationally sustainable option is brought forward. Lake Zurich can do better. Lastly, I ask you to revisit the comprehensive plan of Lake Zurich, specifically revisiting the standard Met staff responses listed in the proposal, which appear biased and unsubstantiated. Please reconsider the contingent plan for the Lakefront Promenade, as it will set the standard for Lake Zurich and generations to come. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And appreciate someone that has done their homework.
I did.
But in terms of, no decision's been made yet on this, obviously, but even if the neighbors, other people couldn't be here this evening, regardless what happens as we move into deliberation on this item, if it does move forward, is still another opportunity at the village board level where everyone can then again be heard. So it's not done. It's always, there's another opportunity for that discussion to take place. Okay.
And if I may add too, we do accept testimony both verbally, like you had here, and in writing.
But thank you for your comments. Okay. Commissioners, more questions of the petitioners before we move to deliberation? Oh, we have another comment? Okay, I'm sorry.
Ethan Booty, I live at 1131 Honey Lake Road. I was looking at their proposal, and it says that it would be 1 parking spot for every 5 people, but that would leave a deficiency of 31 parking spaces. And even though the staff notes say that they could use in 500 feet of the zoning lot and a parking agreement with the neighboring property, I feel like that won't be substantial enough for something of this density. 105 seats, that doesn't really, there's not really enough parking in the general area. As someone mentioned, the other lot, or property B, or was it? I know a lot of other neighboring towns have parking garages. I know that doesn't necessarily fit the streetscape that you're looking for, but that would address a lot of the parking needs. And even if maybe local businesses can, if you need to recoup some of the money from that, you can charge for parking and have like the local businesses like validate the parking to give sort of a discount to the residents. But just something, you need density for parking at this point, because street parking is not going to cut it for every business, as we've already seen with the other strip malls, I guess you could call them, along Main Street. So that would just be my only thing, was the parking, and maybe a garage would be the answer.
All right, thank you, Ethan. All right, have we heard from everyone in the audience then? Okay, thank you. Are we ready to move to deliberations? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing on application PCC 2025-12 and move to deliberation.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Glowaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Kovacevic?
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Muir?
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz?
Aye.
Chairman Stratman?
Aye. Okay, so we'll go back to you on this end, Vlad.
So it's a hard one. I do really like the restaurant concept idea. The density with the project is a concern, more with access to the site. You know, I'm not terribly concerned about the actual 19 new families living here. From what I've read and heard on Facebook and everywhere, people really want to have this frontage accessible to them. They want to have more than just one restaurant. So that's why I was asking if there's any way to reshuffle something and give more of a frontage to people. Like this, you know, storm detention, if that can be somehow pushed down and you move a couple of units there, or do something to give more to the front, so that people can actually use that with you know, their families. The issue with parking that's prevalent, I mean, throughout the Lake Zurich, and I hope something will get done there, maybe a parking garage somewhere. That would be the ideal. But in the end, you know, if I have to choose between having something and not having a place to park, or not having an empty field, you know, we'll figure out where to park eventually. I feel it's more worthwhile to have restaurants and retail right here where we can actually use it, than not have anything. It's been 20 years, nothing was done. We can wait another 20. We can, I mean, I don't know. Other question I had is this part is currently zoned B2, right, Serge?
The, excuse me, the lots that face the front are zoned B2, the rear lots are zoned R5.
And so if somebody was to come and buy this lot, and say, we're gonna build everything per zoning code, no changes. They could come here and build a 3-story office building.
Yes.
So we could still end up having this, 3-story building there.
Assuming we
And
approve it.
Underlying zoning code,
It
yes.
would not, it wouldn't have to come to us.
If they stick with the.
If they stick with-
Yes, but being the fact that this is a village-owned property, the village wants what's best for the property in
Correct.
its entirety. Mhm.
But my point is that the zoning currently allows a 3-story building there. And so my thing, I mean, what I would want is more frontage and retail, like maybe try to move things around and get something else plus there. Again, parking, we have to figure out some comprehensive solution somewhere. Would it make it better if we took this and made this whole thing a parking lot? Have this a parking lot? Would that improve our community with retail here? I don't know that would be a big improvement. That's all I have, really. I really want more usage for people at the front. I don't know if any of these front units,
Belongs to
if that can be turned into a mixed use where with retail at the first floor, like smaller shops and, residential up front, up top. I don't know how that would, if you were to, I don't know. But that's what I heard from people is really they want more usage out of that frontage. They don't want that to be just privately owned, even if it's just the first floor, right? We're talking about just, ground level retail. These could be small little, 600, 700 square foot units at the one level only, like ice cream shops or, sushi place or something like that. But that's kind of what I would say.
Okay, thanks, Vlad. Scott?
Yeah, I'm torn on this one. There's a lot of, I like the design, the exterior, the elevations of everything. But part of me is like, well, this promenade is kind of a crown jewel, if you will. And by putting townhomes directly across from it, it's almost like it's theirs instead of ours.
Right.
So I kind of echo what Vlad is saying. I'd almost rather see more business-oriented or community-oriented along that frontage along Main Street. And it's essentially because of that. To me, it would be, okay, this is the people who live here. It's their promenade, not Lake Zurich's promenade. That's about it. I'm torn right now.
Mike?
I think adding, retail, just look at all the strip malls, it's dying. And you add retail down there, then there's more parking issues down there, and it just doesn't make any sense. I think, I grew up here, been here my entire life, can't get out of here. And, I think it's just a really good fit. You're getting the restaurant where the community can use and go and eat. If someone wants to get a park or do whatever, buy the lot and do it then. You have that choice, but I just don't, I can see from a developer's point, they're not gonna make money by eliminating buildings and turning it into parking. So, they've gotta make money, and I think they're giving us a pretty good proposal here with what they're showing us.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Hildy, your turn.
Well, first and foremost, I personally, I would like to hold off on this, on approval of this or recommendation of this, and ask the developer to go back and maybe rethink the density and the parking. I have grave concerns about the parking. I see what goes on. I know we approved a restaurant that was supposed to have X seating, and somehow, I don't know, but it ended up having quite a bit more seating, and the parking that was adequate and met requirements based on what was presented ended up being totally inadequate for what ended up in the space. You know, we're kidding ourselves. We say, well, there's 105 seats, so we don't know what's going to go in there. What if the restaurant has 200 seats? Okay, then you have even less parking. You know, and I apologize ahead of time. I have a tendency to be a little sarcastic at times, but we are a planning commission. We are not a let's hope it works out and we find the parking somewhere commission. And that's what this bothers me. I've seen too many parking problems. The pavilion, love it. I live here. I can't go because can't park, you know. The parking is totally and completely inadequate. You know, if he reduced the density of the townhouses, added parking, maybe reconsidered it a little bit, you're gonna be facing the lake. I mean, they got $800,000 for those other townhouses on Rand Road. Feel free to raise your prices, but have less density. I don't know. The issue of the schools, to me, the parking has to be solved. I don't feel comfortable recommending this, keeping my fingers crossed that hopefully somebody will solve the parking problem eventually. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel that we're doing our due diligence and doing our job by allowing such big issues to just sort of let's hope it all works out. So I don't think this, the way it's constructed right now, the way it's being proposed, is a good idea. 7,500 square foot restaurant with 24 parking spaces. Okay, there may be deals. Are the deals in perpetuity or are they short term? What if they change their minds? What if the property's sold? Then what do we do? We're supposed to be planning. We're supposed to be taking care of everything we're supposed to be doing. And so, you know, I could go on and on. I could comment on some other comments that have been made and you know, but it doesn't matter. There's an inherent problem that has to be resolved. I would feel more comfortable, and I'm not saying forget this. You know, if you can come back with less density and a livable, viable, at least 100-year solution for the parking, you know, I'm happy to reconsider it. But in its current form, I think we are doing our village a disservice if we go ahead and recommend this. So, you know, clearly, you know, I don't approve of it. I'd rather they go back to the drawing board and do a little more work on this and see if you can somehow figure all this out rather than giving us all of this with our fingers crossed that let's hope it's gonna somehow work out. I don't think we are doing our jobs. I don't think we are, we're not meeting our, I don't know if, we probably don't officially have fiduciary responsibilities, but, you know, ethically and morally, I think we do. And I just don't think we'd be doing the right thing here if we went ahead and recommended this at this point with all the issues.
Thanks, Ildy. John?
Yeah, I mean, similar to others, I'm really wrestling with this one. I probably heard about Block A within 24 hours of moving to the village, and I think I've heard about it 100 times since. So I appreciate, you know, the focus on this particular parcel. You know, I think that was amplified as we went through the comprehensive planning process. Folks have a lot of thoughts and ideas and hopes and dreams that are centered specifically on this parcel. And I get it to some extent, but this is not going to solve all of the village's issues either, or nor is it going to elevate the village to, you know, the level that I think a lot of people want it to be elevated to. And so I get that. I can get behind more density downtown. I can get behind the heights. I can get behind the residential uses. I can get behind the lack of parking to some extent. I'm really struggling with the proportions here. I do appreciate what the developer's doing. The restaurant space, I think, is needed, is wanted. I just wish there was something more, especially along Main Street. I mean, Sunset Pavilion's been brought up. I frequent that often, probably too much. And I wish it was open way later into the year. But, you know, one of the reasons that Sunset Pavilion's so popular is because it's a pavilion set in a park. I mean, you can stay as long or as little as you like. A restaurant space, you're coming, you're eating, you're leaving, and maybe you frequent a little bit longer than that, but it's not apples to apples. And I think some similar use is what is needed here. I really wish there was some green space, some parkland, something in addition to the restaurant space, adjacent to it. And I understand that the applicant is looking to maximize the value of the parcel, and I get the mix of the uses here. I just really wish there's something else here. Just really struggling with this one because I also understand there's been a lot of other proposals, and this is probably the best of the lot, and I just struggling with this one.
All right, thanks, Sean. Appreciate the struggle. Okay. We've heard the comments. It's time for the motion, and we'll do the vote. I will entertain a motion on application PZC 2025-12 to receive in the public record the staff review of compliance of this application with the zoning standards as presented by staff, and to receive the testimony presented by the applicant, by members of the public, by the PZC members and staff, and to make these standards and testimony a part of the official record for the application and findings of the PCC, and to recommend that the village board approve the application for the PUD for the new mixed-use development consisting of 19 single-family townhomes and an approximately 4,875 square foot commercial building at 173 West Main Street.
So moved.
Thanks, Mike.
Second.
Thanks, Sean. Call the roll, please, Colleen.
Commissioner Glowaz,
No.
Commissioner Kovacevic,
Nay.
Commissioner Morrison,
No.
Commissioner Muir,
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz,
No.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. So unfortunately, we have a negative recommendation to the board
Yes,
on this item.
yes. It was a vote of 2 yes and 4 no.
Yes. So it will still go to the board with
With that recommendation.
the
and
recommendation stands of that.
And the board can either accept the recommendation, can overturn the recommendation, or send the application back to the plan commission if there is a change. If the board decides to vote on it, the board can vote yes or no. If it votes yes, obviously you have your zoning entitlements. If the board votes no, then the same proposal cannot be represented to the village for a period of 2 years. That's the way the codes are written.
Okay. See what the board says.
All right.
But you've heard from the residents and from the commission, so what the concerns are.
We can follow up with you on this.
Yeah, at least take a cookie.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind taking your conversation outside, please. The meeting is still going on.
Okay, so then we move to other business. Sarosh?
So coming up in September, we have two new large projects. We have the annexation, zoning, and subdivision for the Advocate Healthcare Center at the northwest corner of Rand Road and Miller Road. And we have the new apartments being proposed by, gosh, I forgot their names. Pardon me? Thank you. I kept thinking Concord. Continental, coming up at the former Regal building. Yeah, so those will be additional, larger projects for you to consider. We also have a variation, and Colleen can tell you a little bit more about that. She's
All
been
right.
integral to that
Just
discussion.
for a fence in a corner side yard in Red Ridge.
Okay.
So 3 applications.
So put that one first.
Yes, we will put the short, quick ones first, and then.
Oh, let's make them wait.
Yes. And then order them in a similar fashion as we did tonight, so that you won't have to amend your agenda at the beginning, hopefully. All right, but thank you. These comments, everyone's comments were very helpful, even for staff. We've made good notes of them, and we will talk with the developer to see how they proceed to the village board.
Could they have withdrawn and asked to be heard at a later date and sort of maybe rethought some
Yes,
of it?
there is certainly that option. I think they were looking for a recommendation. Now, there are developers that say, well, thank you for your recommendation, we've heard what you said, but we'd still like to proceed because the decision-making is at
sure.
the village board.
I'm sure they'll proceed.
Yeah, so, and then it's up to the village board to listen to your testimony, look at staff's report, listen to if there is any other testimony, because the village board has in the past entertained additional comment, even though the public hearing has been closed, but that is the prerogative of our village board. And they make their decision based on that. So at the end of the day, questions will be asked of the developer, and the board will have their chance to make the decision.
Can I ask a question
Yes.
too? If the board, say, denies it, just,
Yes.
can they come back with a different plan, or they have to
Yes.
wait 2 years?
No, they can come back with a different plan.
They
The
can't
only
come back
2-year
with this one for 2
Yes,
years?
a
Okay,
very
right.
similar example is what happened to the OSK development on South Old Rand Road in Bushing. They were denied in January of 2023 by the village board. And so they came back with a completely different plan, different layout, different housing types,
Different architect.
with an architect. And a very thoughtful plan, and received unanimous support from the Plan Commission. And I think, I can't remember whether it was unanimous support or not from the board, but they got a yes vote. And that is moving forward now, because they listened to all of the comments in there.
And they
So
had Homer out this week too, and they took a lot of the.
they're doing tree removal this week, yes, correct. So,
Fine, it's not just a fence.
yeah, they've been approved for that. They've got their permit, so they're moving forward with their development. So it will certainly add a lot of value to that lot, so.
So is there a comprehensive parking solution being discussed?
So there is some discussion going on in the background. There is no formal determination yet, because they're not the owners of those properties. The owners of those properties do have to agree. There is nothing put down in writing yet, but there are definitely negotiations and discussions going on.
Any chance of any parking garage being considered?
Parking garage has been a thought in a number of cases, but when you hear the per space price of $22,000, it does set back a lot of people's ideas. But we have kind of like illustrated the examples in Libertyville, which is a great example. The parking garage behind Finley's restaurant, which is hidden from view of the main street in Libertyville, yet serves a purpose of housing hundreds of cars. It's a very large parking lot. That precedence has been repeated further north, and it has also resulted in a thriving a Main Street area. So yes, they have taken the time and expense to address that parking concern. So we are doing the same. We are internally looking at it as well to see how best we can not just serve this property, but other businesses in town too, because businesses realize that, yes, while we are a walkable, trying to make ourselves a walkable community, and things that planners propose is that you need a 24-hour audience and a 24-hour downtown Main Street area where people don't just come during the day and then leave. They live right there. And when you create what we call that critical mass of people in there, the businesses then begin to thrive. So we have seen that time and time again being tested. Now, obviously, as Commissioner Muir mentioned, retail is a really tough use to bring to a Main Street area which is off the beaten path. Typically, the retail that looks at areas like our downtown is not the formula retail that we get along Rand Road, like the shoe stores, the quick service restaurants, standard restaurants that have a formula that is based on traffic counts, visibility, location, of course, location, location, and location. What our Main Street area would look for would be the unique mom and pop stores, the more destination areas, the feed me, entertain me type uses, as our mayor has often quoted. And that is what I think has been reflected in a number of comments from people. So this proposal was a mix of that in order to make the want work. The need had to be answered too, which was in the form of the residential component that they were proposing. But of course, we heard your comments as well too, so see what happens.
Okay. No other business?
No other business besides announcing what's coming up next month.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Colleen, for the last time this evening.
Commissioner Gloaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Kovacevic.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Muir,
Aye.
Commissioner Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Stratman.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
and thank you for staying up late tonight with us. 9:25. Okay.